with lots of key players. It almost feels like This is 3 Plus 1, a show where we ask marketers 3 relevant questions about marketing, plus 1 offbeat question. My name is Buddy Scalera, and I am joined by my frequent collaborator and co-host for the creative show, the longest running live show on the Content Marketing Institute, Joe J.K. Kalinowski.
Hello, Buddy. It's good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you. So, Joe, for our very first episode, who is our guest on the show today?
I'm excited for today's first guest to 3 Plus 1. Today we have folks from the Content Marketing Institute community know her, 2021 community manager, global digital content leader at Corteva Agriscience, and also wrote a wonderful book called The Missing Piece. Andi, welcome to 3 Plus 1.
I'm so excited to be here. I know I've been on the content show already, so I'm repping today.
Love it, love it, love it.
Andi, welcome to the show. You are officially our first guest ever. So welcome to our show. We're excited to have you. We have 3 really good, relevant marketing questions for you, plus 1 offbeat question, which, Joe, I think you get the offbeat question, right?
I do. I get the first and last.
Actually, Joe gets the first question. Yeah, so Joe, why don't you lead off with Andi?
Okay, Andi. Well, we're going to with the community champion question. Last year, you were CM World's community. So big thing that you've learned from the CM World community over the years that you've been active in and involved in this.
So from a practical perspective, there's so much that I've learned. There are many areas that I don't consider myself an expert, and whether it be through Twitter chats or through the Ask the CM World live streams on Mondays, I've learned so much just practical information. But I think the big thing that I've learned from this community is just to go for it. The community is so supportive, whether it be in person or online, in every way, shape, and form. Everyone is so very supportive of everybody else within the community. And I honestly think with 100% with my whole heart that if it weren't for the support of this community, I would not have written my book.
Speaking of your book, speaking of your book, question number 2 for you, Andi. The content puzzle. What's it about? What's the elevator pitch?
So I am not a fan of chaos. Go figure. And there are so many things that content marketers need to take into account when they're creating their strategies. And in my mind, in order to put order to all of that chaos, I think of it like a puzzle. There are pieces within your strategy that are must-haves. You have to do them. There are other things that, depending on your team size, depending on your company size, depending on what you're trying to do, you may not necessarily need to do every single time. So making it into kind of this puzzle where you put all of the pieces together and that kind of forms your whole strategy is how I think about content marketing. And I've always loved puzzles. And so that is, why I wrote the book and kind of the premise for it. The first section of it goes through all of the different pieces and parts of a content marketing strategy. And then the second part was the missing piece. And that's something I've been passionate about for a very long time, which is psychology. I have always been fascinated by the human psychology. And I think it's an area where a lot of marketers don't necessarily put a lot of focus. But things like the psychology of fonts, like what do fonts say to a person's brain? Or the psychology of colors, what do the different colors mean in your brand or in your campaign assets? So all of those different things, whether it be personality types or different types of psychology, is kind of that second section, and then pulling it all together at the very end, how you apply those psychology principles to your content marketing strategy.
Well, that sounds actually very interesting, and I see it over the back of your shoulder there. Very excited to check it out when I see you in Cleveland. Speaking of Cleveland, I understand that you'll be speaking at Content Marketing World 2022. What's the title of your presentation? And again, what's the quick elevator pitch of what we'll see when we go see you?
The title of my session is Creating Flexible Content Within a Framework. And it is about creating content for multiple teams to use in a way that you can control some of the elements while allowing your teams to control other elements. So whether it be your brand that you want to make sure is very on point with all of the assets that go out the door, or other elements within your campaign messaging, those types of things that you want to lock down. How do you create those assets in a way that other elements, maybe people within your assets or different elements, product benefits, those kinds of things can be adjusted for your various teams, whether it be regional teams or different product teams. So that's kind of what my whole session will be about.
Andy, 3 relevant questions, 3 relevant answers. And now I hand it over to JK for the +1 question. JK, take it away.
First and foremost, you had me at the psychology behind font usage. I got a little giddy over that one. I was off camera. I was like, ooh. But anyway, okay. So Andy, I'm going to ask you, this year's Content Marketing World theme is Drive Forward. And many people in our community and attendees that are coming along see that a lot of the artwork that we've been creating is focused on vehicles and driving and horizons and stuff. So the +1 question today, with a bonus question, is what was the make and model of your very first car?
It was a Cutlass Supreme. I called it the banana boat because it was huge and yellow.
Love it. That was going to be my follow-up question. Yeah. It was the follow-up bonus question was, did it have a name? So it's perfect. A yellow Cutlass Supreme. What year was it?
I honestly don't remember. It probably was in the 70s.
I love it.
It was older than I was.
Okay, well, since this is our first episode, buddy, I'm going to ask you, what was the make and model of your first car? And did it have a name?
My very first car was a 1969 Mercury Cougar convertible. And the only name that it had was, I'm stuck on the side of the road again. Can you please come and pick me up?
Of course it had to be the coolest car ever, you know?
It was the only Cougar, Joe, that had more mileage up and down a lift than it did forward and backward on the road.
If I'm not mistaken, wasn't that Jim Rockford's car from the Rockford Files? Didn't he drive a Cougar?
No, he drove a Camaro.
Oh, that's right. All right, so you have me beat because my very first car was a Cadillac Cimarron. And if anybody knows, it was a 1983 Cadillac. And if anybody knows what a Cadillac Cimarron is, it is basically Cadillac's version of a Chevy Cavalier. And it looked like a Cavalier, but it had fine Corinthian leather seats. And it had a crack on the dashboard from where I kept hitting it because there was a short in the tape deck. So I'd have to beat on it to get it to work. And the only name that thing had is I can't say here because, like you, buddy, I spent more time under it than behind the wheel. So, yeah.
Well, so I will say a little piece of trivia for both of you here. Rich Corinthian leather does not exist. It was made up as a marketing term by General Motors. Actually, was it General Motors or was it Chrysler? But whatever it was, there was no such thing as rich Corinthian leather. They just made it up, and it stuck. And if we remember, the great actor Ricardo Montalban. And it's like Naugahyde. It just was a made up word. So
I'll tell you one thing that the rich Corinthian leather did. It soaked up the heat of the sun, and it basically melted your backside whenever you sat in it on a sunny day. So
I bet it smelled terrific. I
was very excited about this year's theme of driving forward because my family is a racing family. We're drag racers. And
wow.
So the car theme goes very well with the rest of my life.
I am so excited.
Your family
In fact,
flag racers. What is-
John Force was on our plane on the way back from Maui.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
ran
God,
into him.
perfect.
Literally.
Perfect. Perfect first guest and a great story. I'll tell you what, I am so incredibly excited to see you both in Cleveland. We have Content Marketing World coming up September 13th through the 16th. We're going to have a lot of fun stuff going on. Buddy and I are going to be doing some on-site interviews. We'll bump into Andy. And then also I'm going to convince Andy to come to our first live event that Buddy and I are putting together called the Creative Shows Drink and Draw. It's a late night little party. And just a little time for everybody to network and to kind of just let it's the end of the day, basically the last day of the show, so everybody can just kind of unwind, relax, network, and get a little creative with us. So we hope to see you all there. Andy, thank you so very much for being here. Thank you for answering our questions, and I like to see your room get packed at Content Marketing World. It's such an exciting topic that you're going to be speaking of. And once again, congratulations on your book.
Thank you.
Buddy.
So Andy, we're going to have you wait backstage. You can eat all the Twizzlers you want, but don't go away. Stay in the green room. Joe and I are going to sign off. So thanks for joining us. So Joe, a great first episode, an awesome first guest. And I also think we have a new first, Joe, which is you wrote a tagline for the show because at the end of every show, we're mumbling off because we didn't have a tagline. Joe, what's our new tagline?
Our new tagline is always remember, live out loud, and stay creative. And with that, c'est la vie. Have a great day. See you in Cleveland.